Well, hello, and don't tell Fiona I'm doing this because I should be in trouble.
Not trouble.
But I'm here with Anke, who I only met last week in real life, almost real life. I call this real life, really. And I just thought it'd be really cool for her to jump onto Zoom and tell us a bit about what she's doing and what she's up to and how she's ended up living in Spain. So this is my chat with Anke. Hi, Anke, how are you?
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
Really exciting to be here.
So start off by telling me where you are in Spain at the moment.
I'm in Lanjarón,
Okay.
in the province of Granada. I spent lots of time in Granada, like in the middle of the Albaicín. A couple of years ago, there was this urge to get some more greenery.
Okay.
And so I'm in the Alpujarras now.
Okay, wonderful. So how did you end up living in the Alpujarras?
Well, to come to Spain, just to come to live in Spain in the beginning, it was, well, it came all out of a holiday. I'm probably not the only one. I came on a holiday because I'd taken a Spanish course to prepare for a trip to Peru. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed both the trip and Peru. And when I came back, so I kept studying just for the fun of it. And then the course finished. And so the question, I was living in London at the time. And the question was, so now what? What am I going to do? And so short trips to Spain were sort of the obvious thing to keep practicing the Spanish and, and have a bit of fun in the process. And I found that every time I go with friends, English-speaking friends or German-speaking friends, I found I go to Spain and I don't really get to speak any Spanish because you own friends, and so you never really get to meet anybody. And so I thought I have to go on my own. And then there was the question, where in Spain should I go? And there are a couple of things that came into play there. One of my Australian friends, and she traveled extensively all over Europe, as Australians do. And so she said out of the whole long trip she did, covering Spain and Portugal, the place she loved most was Granada. And at the same time, I'd stumbled across flamenco and I got really hooked and found myself a flamenco guitar teacher in London. And the guy happened to be from Granada. So that was indication enough to come to Granada. And I came for the first time on a holiday. And I really just booked myself into a language school just to be able to have the option to live in with a family, to not just be in a hotel and again, just be around tourists. And so I just wanted to really immerse myself, be around people that don't actually speak any other languages that I knew. So, and I did that. And I remember walking through the old part of town, I don't know whether you know the Albaicín.
Yes.
The Sacromonte, and it was just that you kind of felt that the time had stopped.
Yes.
It felt a bit like especially when there's sort of small alleyways where there aren't even any cars, you don't even know in which century you are. And in the morning you'd walk up and there would be like Plaza Larga and they sell the veggies and people would go from the butcher to the, to the bakery. And it was just such a simple life. And I just all of a sudden had this, God, I'd love to live here. So that's how it all started. And it was a real almost physical sense that I thought it deserved some attention and some, to just follow up on it to see what's that all about.
So that's a big top tip then. If you haven't booked just on a holiday, head for Granada quickly. It's going to be very.
I always warn people.
You'll see a fabulous part of Spain. Yeah. Now, from talking to you the other day, I know that you had an interesting career in IT.
Yes.
But we can see from behind you, there's now some bolts of fabric.
Yes, there are.
So tell me what you're now doing.
Well,
you've got two things you're now doing.
When the thought evolved, now, okay, what's the thing about living in Granada all about? There was obviously sooner or later the question popped up, if I went to go and live there, what would I do for a living? And so it was really quite clear, it became clear really quickly that just to get another IT job and do the same thing I was doing in London really wasn't, I mean, I don't think my Spanish would have been good enough at the time to actually just even get the job. And then I thought, why? You know, that makes no sense. So, okay, if we start from, you know, with a clean slate, now let's really start there and think like, what would I love to do if I didn't have to worry about anything? And yeah, so I was actually cutting a summer dress on my dining table at the time with some music. I had a CD of Camarón de la Isla and you know, playing at the same time. And so it was like, yeah, that's what I would do. I'd have a sewing studio and I'd make flamenco kind of inspired stuff. So that was really the idea.
Okay,
and,
so if we didn't pick that up, you're actually making flamenco dresses.
Yes, and so the initial idea was just to have something with a flavor of flamenco, but you know, as it evolved, it's now actually flamenco dance costumes.
Amazing.
Dancers. So there's some feria dresses, and I enjoy those because they you kind of get let loose all the creativity and don't have to worry about what works for dancing and what doesn't. But everything else is really for dancers.
Okay.
So I dress flamenco dancers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think that's amazing because having got a couple of feria dresses, I know how complicated and how heavy they are to make. So you really have jumped in at the deep end and making something very special. And not only do you make them, but you've actually decided now to share how to make them with other people.
Yeah, that came about sort of fairly soon because initially there was this idea and I was a little bit kind of like, how hard can it be? I'd been sewing, I must say I had been sewing all my life, never professionally, but I can't even, you know, with sewing I was a bit like a little kid in the Sacromonte who just grows up playing the guitar. You know, when he's 20, he can't remember how he actually learned it. And sewing is a little bit like that for me. I can't even remember how I learned it. As long as I can remember, I've been fiddling around, turning fabric into something. And so I knew how to make patterns and, you know, and I had experience sewing. And so, yeah, it was like, okay, they're really fitted and I like that. And, but what makes a dance dress danceable? I had no idea. But really, I came and thought, oh, well, I'll just Google it. And if I have to sign up for a course or, you know, get somebody to teach me or, you know, basically find the information I needed. And so I went in the internet and turned out there was nothing. There was absolutely
wow. Okay.
Like not in English, not in Spanish, not like nothing. And so the people that I met who were, you know, it seemed to be also like a change in generation and times, like 20 years back or like 30 years back, all the mums and grandmas would make the stuff for the daughter if she's dancing.
Yeah.
And they all now retiring or don't see anymore and they're not really up for it anymore. And the young ones don't know how to sew on a button.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was really that, there's actually, you know, like a real nice wide spot for me there. And but the learning bit was like a lot more challenging than I thought because nobody local who knew how to do this stuff was even remotely interested in sharing that information, and there was literally nothing on the internet.
Okay.
And so the whole idea of putting a blog out there and putting together some tutorials, because I also learned that there were loads and loads of people really passionate about flamenco who are not in Spain, and I had no idea about that. You know, there's huge communities in the US and Canada and like anywhere. In Singapore, I've shipped stuff to Singapore.
Okay, amazing.
Australia, like anywhere. And for them to get a costume is like even more difficult.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that's how the whole idea came and sort of slowly grown, really.
So, and now you've taken, if I'm going to draw an analogy here, you've taken the patterns from flamenco and you're now creating patterns for people in their own lives with coaching.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
That gets me all emotional. I've never seen that like
my
that.
First Zoom, and I've now made somebody cry on my first one. Fiona really will be cross.
I've never seen it that way, but it's so spot on. That's so spot on. Yeah, because, I mean, sort of jumping into this whole adventure, let's say, with this happy-go-lucky attitude was probably a real good thing, but it doesn't save you from challenges. And the challenges didn't come from where I expected them to come from. I thought it may be challenging to get established or to get flamenco dancers to even consider, hiring somebody, some German woman who comes here and thinks she can do our stuff better than we do. I thought there'd be rejection from that end, that it would not be possible. What I didn't expect, that me having a hard time saying no, that would really bite me in the butt and really bring me to the verge of like burnout or throwing the towel or whatever. So it was really in 2012. It was like, if somebody had offered me a job at that time, I really would have taken it. And I was looking for a job. I actually looked, on job sites. It was just like, when I saw what's on offer there, I thought, I better go and make another skirt. So I kind of through was the only way out. And yeah, in hindsight, it was the best thing that could happen, as it often is. And as soon as I saw that, hey, that actually can be turned around, and there is a way of having a totally different experience of what from the outside looks actually exactly the same thing, that's when the impulse came. It's like, I can't possibly be the only one struggling with this. And if there's one other person out there that I can help do, get this live your dream thing and make it work,
okay,
then I want to do that. And so that's when I kind of decided to go back to school and really learn how to help somebody else to find their own way, because I thought it's no good just sharing what I did, that's no good for anybody else. Everybody has to find their own way. And that's how I became a coach, and now I'm really focusing on helping other people build their business their way. Because the thing is, like, with that kind of when you have a passion and you want to do something with it, there is no blueprint. There is no course at uni you can take, and there's even a lot of advice that you get where people just get bombarded from all sides and do this and do that. And it's like, in the end, you don't know what to do. And the challenges are on the other end anyway. So they are more on the inside anyway.
And in the autumn, what are you up to with your coaching?
Sorry? The autumn, in November, I've been invited to give a talk at the London conference called Coaching Connect, where it's really a conference where there's 12 speakers who all in that same area of exploring how our minds work and how our experience is created and where stress comes from, and basically sharing how this understanding has impacted. For some it's parenting, for me it's creativity and entrepreneurship. And so I'm going to be speaking there. So it's going to be fun.
Excellent. Yeah, good fun. And just Costa Women, because that's obviously how we connected. How did you originally hear of Costa Women?
I think I stumbled over your Twitter account.
Okay.
I think that was the very first point of contact, was that.
Yeah,
and I love the idea because you managed to create a network that's actually alive. There's there's like, there's loads of Facebook groups for expats where it's like, oh, where do I get the cheapest vacuum cleaner, and which brand of dog food is best. So it's all like, there's nothing wrong with that, all these practicalities to have somebody to ask, but living in Spain, there's so much more to it. And managed to create a community that touches a lot more aspects of all of that. And so I really love the way you pull that off. And so, I've been in, groups there and involved. And
well, thank you. And over the summer, what are you up to? Anything special, or are you going to be working?
I'm living in Lanzarote now, and and it's funny how the urge to travel just diminishes the nicer the places where you live.
True. Yeah.
Because when I was living in London, I was like a mean traveler, like all over the place. And every winter I'd be off to, the other end of the world to get some sunshine. And that's really sort of settled down a lot. And, and then there's also the 3 dogs who kind of, and it's more have some time to actually not do anything. And so I'm probably, in September, my parents will be back to visit. They come quite frequently over from Germany. So it's not like no special plans. It's just like flowing along. Having time to sort of potter around and explore things without having deadlines behind me where stuff has to be
Sounds good.
made. So that's like luxury and real fun.
Good. Well, thank you, Anke, for talking to us and sharing your passion for flamenco. And I look forward to meeting you in real life at some point in the near future.
That would be fun. That would be fun. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.